1976, Los Angeles. Al Pacino's agent calls him. Excited. Almost breathless. Al, I just got off the phone with George Lucas. You know, the guy who made American Graffiti? He's doing a new film. Science fiction. Space adventure. Big budget. And he wants you for the lead. Al Pacino is sitting in his apartment. Reading a script. Serpico was a hit. Godfather Part 2 just won Best Picture. Dog Day Afternoon is about to come out. He's at the peak of his career. The most respected actor in Hollywood. Offers pouring in from every direction. What's the role? Al asks, not particularly interested. A smuggler. A space pilot. Han Solo. It's space? Al interrupts. Like science fiction? Spaceships and aliens? Yeah, but it's really about. I don't do that kind of thing. Tell them no. Al, wait. This could be huge. Lucas is. I said no. I don't understand this space stuff. It's not real. It's not truthful. I do character work. Human drama. Not fantasy. No. The agent sighs. He knows better than to push. Al Pacino is stubborn. When he decides something, that's it. No negotiation. No compromise. Okay, Al. I'll tell them you're passing. Good. What else do you have? Anything with real characters? Real stories? And just like that, Al Pacino turns down Star Wars. Doesn't think about it again. Doesn't consider the possibilities. Just moves on to the next serious role. The next important film. The next piece of art. What he doesn't know. What nobody knows in 1976. Is that he just turned down the biggest film franchise in history. A role that will make whoever plays it a legend. A billionaire. A cultural icon. But Al Pacino doesn't care about that. He cares about truth. About craft. About real acting. Not spaceships. Not fantasy. Not entertainment for children. He just said no to $500 million. And he doesn't even know it. Let's understand who Al Pacino is in 1976. Because that context matters. That mindset matters. He's a method actor. Trained by Lee Strasberg. Believes in emotional truth. In psychological realism. In authentic human experience translated to screen. He doesn't act for money. Never has. He acts for art. For meaning. For the chance to explore the human condition. His heroes aren't movie stars. They're artists. Marlon Brando. Montgomery Clift. James Dean. Actors who transformed. Who disappeared into roles. Who served the character, not the paycheck. And in Al Pacino's mind in 1976, there's a hierarchy. Serious drama at the top. Important films about important subjects. The Godfather. Serpico. Dog Day Afternoon. Films that say something. That means something. And at the bottom of that hierarchy? Genre films. Action movies. Science fiction. Fantasy. Escapism. Entertainment without substance. Movies for children. Not for serious actors. Not for artists. This mindset, this snobbery, really, is going to cost him $2 billion over the next decade. But he doesn't see it as snobbery. He sees it as integrity. As commitment to craft. As refusing to sell out. And that refusal? That stubbornness? It defines every decision he makes. Star Wars comes out. May 1977. And it's not just a hit. It's a phenomenon. Cultural earthquake. Biggest film of all time. Harrison Ford, the actor who got the role Al Pacino turned down, becomes an overnight superstar. Not just famous. Iconic. Han Solo becomes one of the most beloved characters in cinema history. Al Pacino watches this happen. Sees Harrison Ford on every magazine cover. Sees the merchandising. The action figures. The lunchboxes. The billions of dollars flowing from this space fantasy he dismissed. His agent calls. Al, you seeing this? Star Wars is making a fortune. Harrison Ford just signed a 3-picture deal worth tens of millions. Plus back-end points. Plus merchandising. He's going to make more money than God. Al Pacino shrugs. Good for him. But it's still not real acting. It's playing dress-up in space. I made the right choice. Did you? Because that dress-up is making Harrison Ford one of the richest actors in Hollywood. I don't act for money. I act for the work. For the truth. Star Wars is fun. But it's not important. It's not art. His agent doesn't push. Because Al Pacino believes this. Genuinely believes it. In his mind, he chose integrity over commerce. Chose art over entertainment. Chose the Godfather path over the Star Wars path. And he's proud of that choice. But here's what Al doesn't understand yet. What he won't understand for another decade. There's no shame in entertainment. No dishonor in making people happy. No compromise in doing a role that's fun instead of heavy. Art and commerce aren't enemies. They can coexist. They can even enhance each other. But Al Pacino in 1977 doesn't see that. Can't see that. Won't allow himself to see that. Because his identity is wrapped up in being a serious actor. And serious actors don't do space movies. Period. 1978, 1 year after Star Wars changed everything. Al Pacino's agent calls again. Al, I've got something incredible. Superman. Richard Donner directing. Big budget. They want you for the lead. Clark Kent. Superman. The role of a lifetime. Al Pacino is reading a script for, and Justice for All. Courtroom drama. Serious. Important. Real. Superman? Al says. The comic book? Yeah, but they're doing it seriously. Real actors. Real budget. This isn't campy. This is. It's a guy in a cape and tights flying around saving people. That's not acting. That's costume. I don't do costumes. I do characters. Al, this could be. No. Tell them no. I'm not interested in comic books. I did Godfather. I did Serpico. I do real stories about real people. Not fantasies for children. No. They're offering a lot of money, Al. Like, millions. Plus back end. This could set you up for. I don't need to be set up. I make enough doing real work. Tell them I appreciate the offer, but no. Find me something with substance. With meaning. Not a guy in a cape. The agent hangs up. Frustrated. Because he knows. He knows this is a mistake. He knows Superman is going to be huge. He knows whoever plays this role is going to become a legend. But Al Pacino won't listen. Can't listen. His artistic principles won't allow it. Richard Donner casts Christopher Reeve. An unknown. A newcomer. Someone grateful for the opportunity. Someone who doesn't look down on comic book movies, because he doesn't have the luxury of looking down on anything. Superman comes out. December 1978. Another massive hit. Christopher Reeve becomes a star. The film makes hundreds of millions. Spawns sequels. Merchandising. Cultural impact that lasts decades. And Al Pacino? He's doing, and Justice for All. A good film. A serious film. But it makes $30 million at the box office. A modest success. Nothing compared to Superman's $300 million worldwide. But Al doesn't care. Because he's still convinced he made the right choice. Art over commerce. Integrity over money. He's sleeping well at night knowing he didn't sell out. Knowing he stayed true to his principles. What he doesn't realize yet. Those principles are going to cost him another $1 billion. Because the next opportunity is coming. And he's going to say no again. 1987. A decade after Star Wars. 5 years after Superman. Al Pacino is still one of the most respected actors in Hollywood. Scarface became a cult classic. But his recent films, Revolution, Author, haven't done well. Box office disappointments. Critical failures. His star is dimming slightly. Not gone. But not as bright as it was in the 1970s. His agent calls. Al, I've got something different for you. Action film. Die Hard. Based on a novel. You'd play John McClane. NYPD cop. Trapped in a building with terrorists. One man against impossible odds. Al Pacino is skeptical immediately. Action film? Like explosions and gunfights? Yeah, but it's got character. It's got depth. McClane is a real guy. Flawed. Vulnerable. This isn't just mindless action. It sounds like mindless action. Cop versus terrorists? That's a B-movie plot. I don't do B-movies. I do important films. Films that say something about the human condition. Al, this could say something. About heroism. About ordinary men in extraordinary circumstances. About. No. I'm not interested. Action movies are beneath me. They're for actors who can't do real work. Who need stunts and explosions to cover up lack of talent. I'm a character actor. I need dialogue. I need depth. Not explosions. They're offering $10 million, Al, plus points on the back end. This could. I don't care if they're offering $100 million. The answer is no. Find me a real role. A real character. Not an action hero. No. The agent sighs. Hangs up. Calls the producers back. AL's passing. He thinks it's beneath him. The producers move on. They offer it to other actors. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sylvester Stallone. Burt Reynolds. Harrison Ford. Richard Gere. Everyone says no. For various reasons. Wrong timing. Wrong fit. Wrong genre. Finally, they offer it to Bruce Willis. A TV actor. Moonlighting. Comedic timing. No action experience. No film credibility. But he says yes. Because he's hungry. Because he doesn't have the luxury of turning down $10 million. Because he's not Al Pacino with a shelf full of classic films and artistic credibility. He's Bruce Willis. And this is his shot. Die Hard comes out. July 1988. And it's not just an action movie. It's a revolution. It reinvents the genre. Makes it smart. Real. Human. John McClane isn't a superhero. He's a regular cop. Vulnerable. Bleeding. Scared. But fighting. Surviving. Winning against impossible odds. Critics love it. The greatest action film ever made. Bruce Willis is a revelation. This is how you do action with character. Audiences love it more. The film makes $140 million domestically. Spawns 4 sequels. Becomes a franchise worth over $1 billion. Bruce Willis becomes an A-list superstar. One of the biggest action stars in the world. Rich beyond measure. Famous. Iconic. And Al Pacino? He's watching this happen. Again. For the 3rd time in a decade. Watching an actor take a role he turned down and become a legend. Become a billionaire. While Al is still doing serious films that nobody watches and nobody cares about. His agent calls. Doesn't say, "I told you so." Doesn't need to. They both know. "You seeing Die Hard numbers?" the agent asks. "Yeah," Al says quietly. "That could have been you." "I know." "That's 3, Al, Star Wars. Superman. Die Hard. 3 franchises. $3 billion. You turned down all 3. Long silence. Al Pacino sitting with that reality. With the magnitude of what he's lost. Not just money. But opportunity. Cultural impact. Legacy. Harrison Ford is Han Solo forever. Christopher Reeve is Superman forever. Bruce Willis is John McClane forever. And Al Pacino? He's, what? The guy who said no 3 times? "I made my choices," Al finally says. "Based on what I believed was right. Based on my principles. Were they the right choices?" Another long pause. Because that's the question, isn't it? Were they? Did integrity matter more than $2 billion? Did art matter more than cultural impact? Did pride matter more than legacy? I don't know, Al admits. Ask me in 10 years. 3 opportunities. 3 rejections. 3 franchises that made other actors legends and billionaires. And Al Pacino? He's left with his principles. His integrity. His pride. But not the money. Not the cultural impact. Not the iconic roles that define careers. Was he right? Was he wrong? Does art matter more than commerce? Does integrity matter more than billions? And 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, does he regret those choices? Or is he proud of them? 1990, 2 years after Die Hard. Al Pacino is 50 years old. And he's struggling. Not artistically. He's still brilliant. Still one of the best actors alive. But financially? Professionally? He's in trouble. His recent films bombed. Revolution lost money. Sea of Love was okay but not great. He hasn't had a real hit since Scarface in 1983. 7 years. That's a lifetime in Hollywood. Actors younger than him are becoming superstars. Making fortunes. And Al Pacino? He's the guy who turned down $3 billion franchises to do important films that nobody watched. His accountant calls. "Al, we need to talk about your finances." "What about them?" "You're spending more than you're making. The house. The lifestyle. The alimony. The child support. Your last 3 films didn't pay well. And you're not doing commercials. Not doing endorsements. Not doing anything to supplement income. We need revenue. Real revenue. Soon." Al Pacino sits with this. He's Al Pacino. Oscar-nominated multiple times. One of the greatest actors of his generation. And he's being told he has money problems? How is that possible? The answer is simple. Harrison Ford is worth $200 million. Because of Star Wars. Christopher Reeve made $50 million from Superman. Bruce Willis is making $20 million PR film now because of Die Hard. And Al Pacino? He made scale. Union minimum on most of his important films. Because he chose art over commerce. Chose integrity over wealth. And now? Now he's paying the price, but here's what happens next that changes everything. Dick Tracy. 1990, Warren Beatty directs and stars. Offers Al Pacino the role of Big Boy Caprice. A villain. Cartoony. Over the top. Costume and makeup heavy. Exactly the kind of role Al has been avoiding his entire career. Al's initial reaction? No. This is beneath me. It's a comic book movie. But his agent pushes. Hard. Al, Warren is offering you $5 million. $5 million. For 3 weeks of work. You need this. Your accountant is panicking. You're in debt. You can't keep turning down money. I don't do comic book. I know. You don't do comic books. You don't do science fiction. You don't do action movies. You don't do anything that makes money. And that's why you're broke. So here's the reality, Al. You can keep your principles and lose your house. Or you can do 3 weeks of work, make $5 million, and solve your financial problems. Your choice. Al Pacino sits with this. Really sits with it. Because his agent is right. Pride doesn't pay mortgages. Integrity doesn't pay alimony. Artistic principles don't put food on the table. And for the first time in his career, Al Pacino realizes, maybe I was wrong. Maybe commerce and art aren't enemies. Maybe I can do a fun role and not lose my soul. He takes the role. Big Boy Caprice. Dick Tracy. And something unexpected happens. He has fun. Actually enjoys himself. The makeup. The costume. The over-the-top performance. It's liberating. Not every role has to be Michael Corleone. Not every performance has to carry the weight of the world. Sometimes acting can just be play. Joy. Entertainment. Dick Tracy comes out. Al Pacino gets an Oscar nomination. For a comic book villain. Critics love it. Pacino steals every scene. Finally, Pacino lets loose and has fun. This is a side of Pacino we've never seen. And Al realizes something profound. He was wrong about genre films. He was wrong about serious versus entertainment. He was wrong about the hierarchy. There's no shame in making people smile. No dishonor in doing something fun. Art can exist in a comic book movie just as much as in a prestige drama. But this realization comes too late. Because he already said no to Star Wars. Already said no to Superman. Already said no to Die Hard. Already lost billions. Already missed his chance at those iconic roles. Those legacies. And that regret? It's going to haunt him for decades. 1992. Scent of a Woman. Al Pacino finally wins his first Oscar. After 8 nominations. After 20 years of brilliant work. He finally gets the recognition he deserved. In his acceptance speech, he's gracious. Humble. Grateful. But there's something else in his eyes. Something he doesn't say out loud. A thought he keeps to himself: I've been chasing Oscars my whole life. Turning down money for art. For prestige. And you know who's never won an Oscar? Harrison Ford. Christopher Reeve. Bruce Willis. But they're worth $1 billion. And I'm worth, what? 10 million? 20? I chose wrong. I sacrificed wealth for validation. And was it worth it? Is this statue worth $2 billion? He doesn't say this. Can't say this. Because it would sound like sour grapes. Like jealousy. Like regret. And Al Pacino doesn't do regret. Doesn't admit weakness. Doesn't show vulnerability about career choices. But privately? In quiet moments? He thinks about it. About Han Solo. About Superman. About John McClane. About the life he could have had. The wealth. The security. The iconic status. And he wonders, did I make the right choice? Or did I let pride destroy opportunity? 1995. Heat. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro finally share the screen. The coffee shop scene becomes legendary. Two titans. Face to face. Pure acting. Pure truth. Everything Al Pacino believes in. Everything he's dedicated his life to. After filming, De Niro and Al go for drinks. Talk about their careers. Their choices. Their lives. You ever regret turning down Star Wars? De Niro asks. Casual. But the question cuts. Al Pacino looks at him. How'd you know about that? Everyone knows, Al, Hollywood is small. Word gets around. You said no to Lucas. No to Donner. No to Die Hard. Everyone thinks you're crazy. Maybe I am, Al admits. Rare moment of vulnerability. I thought I was protecting my artistic integrity. Thought I was staying true to the craft. But Harrison Ford has 3 houses and a private jet. And I'm still worried about paying bills. So maybe I'm just an idiot with expensive principles. De Niro laughs. You're not an idiot. You're a purist. You care about the work. Not the money. That's noble. It's also stupid. But it's noble. Thanks. I think. Look, Al. We're both old now. We've both made choices. I did Cape Fear. I did Casino. I did Heat. Mix of art and commerce. You did. Mostly art. And you know what? Your legacy is solid. Godfather. Scarface. Dog Day Afternoon. You're a legend. So yeah, you lost money. But you gained respect. You gained legacy. And that's worth something. Is it worth $2 billion? De Niro shrugs. Only you can answer that. 2004, Al Pacino is 64 years old. Doing an interview for Inside the Actors Studio. Students asking questions. One brave student raises her hand. Mr. Pacino, is it true you turned down Star Wars? The audience gasps. Because nobody asks Al Pacino about his rejections. His mistakes. His regrets. But this student doesn't know better. And Al, he decides to answer. Honestly. Yes, he says. I turned down Star Wars. I also turned down Superman. And Die Hard. 3 of the biggest franchises in history. 3 roles that made other actors billionaires. And I said no to all of them. Silence in the room. Everyone waiting for what comes next. Why? The student asks. Because I was an idiot, Al says. And the room laughs. Nervous laughter. Because Al Pacino just called himself an idiot. No, seriously. I thought I was protecting my artistic integrity. I thought genre films were beneath me. I thought real actors only do serious drama. And I was wrong. Completely wrong. Harrison Ford is Han Solo and he's a great actor. Those things can coexist. But I didn't see that in 1976. I was young. Arrogant. Stupid. And I paid the price. Do you regret it? The student asks. The question everyone wants answered. Al Pacino pauses. Long pause. Thinking. Really thinking. Because this is the question, isn't it? The big question. The question that defines his entire career. His entire life. Yes and no, he finally says. Yes, I regret the money. $2 billion is a lot to leave on the table. I regret the financial security I could have had. The generational wealth I could have built. The ease those roles would have brought. So in that sense, yes. I regret it. He pauses. But do I regret the work I chose instead? No. I don't. I did Godfather. Serpico. Dog Day Afternoon. Scarface. Scent of a Woman. Real characters. Real stories. Real performances. And those films matter. They changed cinema. They influenced generations of actors. They'll be watched for the next 100 years. Star Wars will too. But I'm proud of my body of work. Proud of the choices I made artistically. So, yes and no. I regret the money. But I don't regret the art. 2011. Al Pacino is 71. Doing a different interview. Journalist asks the same question. Because everyone always asks. Star Wars. Superman. Die Hard. $3 billion mistakes. Looking back, were you wrong? And Al's answer is different now. Evolved. More honest. I wasn't wrong for me, he says. But I would have been wrong for them. Han Solo needed someone who believed in the role. Who loved science fiction. Who embraced the fun. That wasn't me in 1976. I would have been miserable. I would have resented it. And my resentment would have shown on screen. Same with Superman. Same with Die Hard. Those roles needed actors who wanted them. Who saw the value. The potential. I didn't. So those roles went to the right people. Harrison Ford was Han Solo. Christopher Reeve was Superman. Bruce Willis was John McClane. And I was Michael Corleone. We all ended up where we belonged. But the money. Money isn't everything, Al interrupts. I know that sounds rich coming from someone who lost $2 billion. But it's true. I have enough. I live comfortably. I work when I want. I don't have Star Wars money. But I have Godfather legacy. And legacy matters more than money. At least to me. Maybe that makes me a fool. But it's my truth. And I'm sticking to it. 2015, Al Pacino is 75. Doing a masterclass. Teaching young actors. And he tells them something crucial. Something he learned the hard way. Don't be me, he says. Don't turn down opportunities because of pride. Because of some imaginary hierarchy of what's worthy and what's not. There's no shame in doing a franchise. No dishonor in doing action or comedy or science fiction. Good acting is good acting. Period. If the role speaks to you, do it. Don't worry about what critics think. What other actors think. What your ego thinks. Just do good work. And let the work speak for itself. He pauses. Looks at the young faces staring at him. I turned down billions of dollars because I thought I was too good for certain roles. And you know what I learned? Nobody's too good for anything. Acting is acting. Whether you're playing a space smuggler or a mafia don. Whether you're wearing a cape or a suit. It's all storytelling. It's all character. And if you forget that, if you let pride dictate your choices, you'll end up like me. Respected. Successful. But wondering, what if? What if I'd said yes instead of no? What if I'd been Han Solo? What if I'd had two careers? The art films and the blockbusters? What if I'd been smart instead of stubborn? A student raises his hand. But you don't regret your choices, right? You just said. I don't regret the work I did, Al clarifies. But I regret the work I didn't do. The opportunities one missed. The experiences I denied myself. Because of fear. Because yes, underneath all the pride and artistic integrity, I was afraid. Afraid of failing in a new genre. Afraid of being bad in a role outside my comfort zone. So I hid behind principles and integrity when really, I was just scared. And that's the lesson, don't let fear masquerade as principle. Don't let ego masquerade as integrity. If something scares you, do it anyway. That's where growth happens. That's where magic happens. I missed my chance at magic. Don't miss yours. 2019, Al Pacino is 79 years old. Netflix releases The Irishman. His last collaboration with Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. A swan song. A masterpiece. A return to the prestige drama he's always loved. In press interviews, journalists still ask about Star Wars. About the billion-dollar rejections. And AL's answer now, at 79, is his final answer. His truth. Here's what I know at 79 that I didn't know at 36, he says. Money doesn't define success. Legacy does. And my legacy is Godfather, Scarface, Dog Day Afternoon, Scent of a Woman, and now The Irishman. That's what people will remember. Not the roles I didn't play. But the roles I did. So yes, I lost $2 billion. But I gained something money can't buy, a body of work I'm proud of. Work that matters. Work that will outlive me. And that's worth more than all the Star Wars money in the world. At least to me. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I'm delusional. But I'm a happy fool. I'm a satisfied artist. And at 79, that's all that matters. He smiles. Besides, Harrison Ford has to do Star Wars movies until he's 90 to keep Disney happy. I get to do whatever I want. So who really won? 2023, Al Pacino is 83 years old. He writes his memoir. And there's a chapter titled, The Roles I Didn't Play. In it, he writes. People ask me all the time, do you regret turning down Star Wars? Superman? Die Hard? And the honest answer is, sometimes. On bad days, when money is tight or I'm feeling old and wondering about my legacy, I think, what if? What if I'd said yes? What if I'd been Han Solo? What if I had Harrison Ford's wealth and security? What if? But then I remember, I did say yes. To Godfather. To Serpico. To Dog Day Afternoon. To roles that mattered to me. To work I was proud of. To characters that challenged me. Scared me. Changed me. And those roles, those choices, made me who I am. An actor. Not a movie star. Not a brand. But an actor. Someone who cares about truth more than money. About craft more than fame. About legacy more than wealth. So no. I don't regret my choices. I regret that I didn't have the confidence to do both. To be an artist and entertain. To do Godfather and Star Wars. That's my only regret. Not choosing one over the other. But believing I had to choose. That art and commerce couldn't coexist. That's the lie I believed. And that's what cost me $2 billion. Not the rejections themselves. But the mindset behind them. The either/or thinking. The false binary. The pride. If I could go back and tell 36-year-old Al Pacino anything, it would be this: say yes. To everything. Do Star Wars and Godfather. Do Superman and Serpico. Do Die Hard and Scent of a Woman. You can be both. You can have both. You don't have to choose. But I didn't know that. So I chose. And I chose art. And I'm proud of that choice. Even if it cost me everything. 3 franchises. 3 rejections. $3 billion. Lost. But Al Pacino doesn't measure success in money. He measures it in legacy. In work he's proud of. In roles that mattered. In a career built on truth instead of commerce. Was he right? Was he wrong? The answer is, both. He was right to follow his artistic instincts. Wrong to believe art and money can't coexist. Right to do work he loved. Wrong to turn down opportunities out of pride. Right to build a legacy he's proud of. Wrong to lose $2 billion in the process. But here's the real truth: Al Pacino would do it all again. Same choices. Same rejections. Same pride. Because money doesn't define him. Work does. And his work? It's legendary. Even without Han Solo. Even without Superman. Even without Die Hard. He's Al Pacino. And that's worth more than $2 billion. At least, that's what he tells himself.